The billionaire's daughter couldn't walk, but the new cleaner did something unbelievable. The silence in that mansion was as heavy as lead. It wasn't the kind of silence that comes with peace. It was what's left when life has been sucked out of a place. The marble walls echoed only the hurried footsteps of the staff, who whispered among themselves, afraid of breaking something that was already broken. On the third floor, behind a perpetually closed oak door, lived Lily, 6 years old, blonde hair that once shone in the sun, now lifeless on her pillow. Blue eyes that used to dance with curiosity, now fixed on the ceiling as if searching for answers that never came. Her pink wheelchair, bought with such love by her father, was propped in the corner, abandoned like a toy that had lost its charm. "Lily, sweetheart, how about we try today?" Dr. Peterson's voice sounded tired. He was the 5th specialist that month, perhaps the 10th of the year. William Sterling had lost count of how many renowned professionals he had brought to that room. Neurologists from London, physical therapists from New York, award-winning child psychologists, all with gilded diplomas and empty promises. The little girl didn't even turn her head. Her tiny fingers played with the silk sheet, making small folds that she would soon undo. "I can't," she murmured, as she always did, 3 words that had become her only answer to everything. "How about eating?" "I can't." "Let's play." "I can't." "Try to move your legs." "I can't." The doctor exchanged a defeated look with William. It was always like this. They arrived full of hope, with revolutionary techniques and proven methods. They left with the same expression as someone who had tried to move a mountain with their bare hands. "Mr. Sterling, perhaps it's best we give it some time. The girl is still grieving and forcing her might—" "No." William's voice cut through the air like a blade. "As I won't give up on her." But inside, a part of him was already giving up. Not on his daughter, never on her, but on the hope of seeing her smile again. The accident had happened 8 months ago. A rainy night, a dangerous curve, a truck that couldn't brake in time. Emma Sterling died instantly. Lily survived, but something died with her in that wrecked car. Not just the ability to walk. The doctors said that was reversible, that with physical therapy she would run again. What died was something deeper. The will. William stood at the window after the doctor left. Down below, the garden was as perfect as ever. Red roses lined up, the lawn trimmed, the fountain running. Everything was working, except for the life inside that house. "Daddy?" Lily's voice was so low he almost didn't hear it. "Yes, my love." He turned, his heart racing with the foolish hope that she might want to talk, to play, anything. "Can you close the curtain? The light is bothering me." He obeyed, plunging the room into shadow. The luxury around them, the canopy bed, the imported toys, the porcelain dolls, seemed to mock the situation. Money could buy the best treatments, but it couldn't buy miracles. "Do you want me to stay here with you?" "You don't have to." 2 more words that hurt like daggers. William knew she didn't mean to hurt him, but each rejection was another brick in the wall she was building around her heart. He kissed her forehead, the only show of affection she still allowed, and left the room. In the hallway, he found Margaret, the housekeeper who had worked for the family for 15 years. How is she today?" he asked, though the answer was always the same. "The same, sir. She didn't eat well again, barely touched her lunch." William ran a hand through his graying hair. At 42, he seemed to have aged a decade in those 8 months. The financial empire he had built with so much effort meant nothing if he couldn't save his own daughter. "Margaret, I need you to prepare a list. I want the best child trauma specialists in the world, no matter where they are." The woman looked at him with pity. "Mr. Sterling, with all due respect, maybe what she needs isn't another doctor." "Then what is it?" Margaret hesitated. "I don't know." "But I know it isn't this." That night, William stayed in his office late, making calls all over the world. Clinics in Switzerland, specialists in Japan, experimental treatments in Germany. He had enough money to buy anything, except what he wanted most, his daughter's smile. Upstairs, Lily was awake in the darkness. She heard her father's footsteps in the hall, The low voices of the staff, the ticking of the old clock. Everything seemed distant, as if she were inside a glass bubble, watching life happen without being able to touch it. Sometimes, in the moments before sleep, she remembered how it used to be. Running through the garden with her mother, laughing when she tripped on the grass, asking to be carried on her back. But those memories hurt so much that she pushed them away, along with anything that resembled joy. "I can't," she whispered to the darkness, like an inverted prayer, and the entire mansion, with all its luxuries and staff, remained silent. A silence that screamed louder than any cry, announcing that here lived a family broken in half, desperately trying to glue the pieces back together with money and empty hopes. The next morning, someone new would arrive, someone William couldn't imagine could make a difference. Someone who carried no diplomas or grand promises, just calloused hands and a heart that knew pain up close. But for now, the night swallowed the Sterling mansion, and Lily's room remained what it had always been, a world apart, where a blonde, blue-eyed girl repeated to herself that she couldn't, while her father, on the other side of the door, did the same. Sarah Miller arrived at the Sterling mansion on a grey Monday in October, carrying only a small worn leather bag and a discreet smile that didn't reach her eyes. She was 35, with brown hair always tied in a simple bun, and hands that told stories of hard work, calluses on her palms, short, clean nails, a small scar on her index finger from when she learned to sew as a child. She wasn't beautiful in the classic sense of the word. Her face was ordinary, without the striking features that make people turn their heads on the street. But there was something in her brown eyes, a mixture of kindness and quiet strength, that made people feel safe around her, as if she were the kind of person who would hold your hand when the world fell apart. Margaret received her at the staff entrance, observing her with the critical eye of someone who had seen many employees come and go over 15 years of working for the Sterling family. "Are you the new cleaner?" she asked, flipping through a clipboard with stapled papers. "Yes, ma'am, Sarah Miller." Her voice was soft as velvet, but firm as a rock. Margaret noticed immediately that she didn't seem intimidated by the imposing size of the mansion or the almost military formality of the environment. That was definitely a good thing. The last 3 employees had run off after a few weeks, complaining that the house was too heavy and that there was something wrong in the air. "Well, the rules are quite simple," Margaret began, walking through the polished marble corridors that reflected their steps like mirrors. "Mr. Sterling works a lot and doesn't like to be disturbed unnecessarily. He leaves early and comes back late. The cleaning routine is detailed here on this list," and she hesitated for a moment, as if deciding how much she should reveal. "There are certain areas of the house that require special care." Sarah just nodded, absorbing every piece of information like a dry sponge. "The 3rd floor, for example. There's a room that... Well, you'll understand when you get there. The door is always closed, and honestly, it's better that way. Just clean around it without making a sound, the least amount of noise possible." They went up the spiral staircase, passing family portraits in golden frames that Sarah observed discreetly while Margaret explained other tasks. An elegant blonde woman appeared in several photos, always smiling radiantly next to a tall, dark-haired man and a little girl with golden curls. In the older portraits, the family looked complete, happy. But Sarah noticed that in the more recent photos, those dated within the last 2 years, the woman was no longer there. That was Mrs. Sterling, Margaret explained, noticing Sarah's attentive gaze. "Emma. She died in a car accident 8 months ago. The girl, well, she hasn't been well since." Sarah stopped in front of a particularly touching photo where the blonde woman held a little girl in her arms. The girl had golden hair exactly like her mother's and smiled with all the innocence and joy that only a 4 or 5-year-old can have. "Lily," Margaret murmured with affection in her voice. "She's 6 now. Or she was 6. Sometimes it feels like she stopped growing on that terrible day." "Is she physically ill?" Sarah asked with genuine concern. "Depends on what you consider illness." Margaret sighed deeply. "Physically, all the doctors Mr. Sterling has brought in, and believe me, there have been many, say she can make a full recovery. The spinal injuries weren't permanent. But she touched her own chest with her hand. In here, in her heart, she's completely broken. They continued up until they reached the 3rd floor. The hallway was wide and well lit by tall windows, decorated with the same impeccable luxury as the rest of the house. But Sarah immediately felt that something was different here. The air seemed denser, heavy with an almost tangible sadness that made her chest tighten. "That's the door." Margaret pointed to a solid oak door at the end of the hall. "Always closed, always silent. Mr. Sterling tries everything, brings doctors from all over the world, award-winning psychologists, renowned physical therapists. But..." She shook her head in discouragement. Sarah stared at the door for a long moment. Something about it bothered her deeply. It wasn't just the fact that it was closed, it was the absolute silence that emanated from behind it, as if there were a void inside, a black hole that sucked all the life out of its surroundings. "May I ask what exactly happened to her?" "To the girl?" Margaret hesitated, looking around to make sure they were alone. She normally didn't discuss the family's private matters with new staff, but there was something about Sarah, perhaps the sincerity in her eyes, that made her instinctively trust her. The accident left her temporarily unable to walk. The bones in her right leg were badly damaged, but nothing that can't be fixed with proper surgery and physical therapy. The real problem is that she just doesn't try. She doesn't want to do physical therapy. She doesn't leave her room. She barely touches her food. She just lies there, always repeating the same thing, that she can't do anything. Sarah nodded slowly, a painful recognition passing through her eyes. She knew this kind of pain intimately. "Well, let's continue the tour," Margaret said, noticing Sarah's pensive expression. But she realized the new employee was still staring at that door, as if she could see right through it. The first day of work passed quickly. Sarah cleaned the lower floors with a quiet efficiency that impressed the other employees. She didn't ask unnecessary questions or try to make small talk, preferring to work in silence, absorbing every detail of the environment and the peculiar dynamics of that house. Rosa, the Italian cook, commented to Margaret during dinner, "She's different from the others. There's something about her. I can't explain it. It's like she understands things without anyone needing to explain." On the second day, Sarah went up to the 3rd floor for the first time. The hallway was empty as always, bathed in the golden afternoon light streaming through the tall windows. Sarah began her cleaning methodically, starting with the windows at the opposite end of Lily's room. But the whole time, her eyes kept returning to that closed door. There was no sound coming from it, no movement, no sign of life. It was as if on the other side there was nothing but emptiness. Throughout the week, she established a precise routine. She cleaned the hallway at the same time every day, between 2 and 3 in the afternoon, when the natural light was softest. And always, upon finishing, she would pause for a few seconds in front of Lily's door, as if she could feel something through the heavy wood. The other employees started to notice her behavior. "She stands there every day," commented James, the gardener, to Margaret, "as if she's listening to something." "Maybe she is," Margaret replied thoughtfully. It was on a Friday that something different happened. Sarah was finishing cleaning the hallway, putting the supplies back on her cart, when she heard a very faint sound coming from Lily's room. It was almost inaudible, a long sigh, perhaps, or the sound of someone turning in bed. She stopped immediately, sharpening all her senses. Silence again. But Sarah was absolutely sure that someone was awake in there. Someone who, perhaps, was also listening to the sounds in the hallway, waiting for someone to notice their existence. Over the weekend, she couldn't stop thinking about the girl. She imagined how terrible it must be to be locked in that room day after day, alone with her own pain and the memories of a mother who would never return. She imagined the desperate father on the other side of the door, with all the money in the world, but not knowing how to buy his daughter's smile. She imagined the heavy silence that must exist between them, full of unsaid words and swallowed tears. The following Monday, Sarah did something that was definitely not in her job description. She went down to the kitchen during her lunch break and asked Rosa to let her prepare a snack. The Italian cook, a round woman with rosy cheeks, found the unusual request strange. "Varsum, who is it for, cara mia?" "For me," Sarah lied without blinking. "I'm very hungry today." She prepared a simple but careful plate, 2 small strawberry jam sandwiches on the softest bread she could find, homemade chocolate cookies that Rosa had made that morning, and a glass of fresh apple juice. A child's snack, exactly the kind any 6-year-old girl would love. She placed everything on a silver tray with an embroidered cloth and went up the stairs, her heart beating faster with every step. Her heart pounded as she stopped in front of Lily's door. Part of her thought she was being completely intrusive, that Margaret would be furious if she found out, that maybe she was overstepping important boundaries. But another part, the part that had immediately recognized the deep pain that permeated that house, pushed her inexorably forward. She knocked on the door, 3 soft, respectful knocks, absolute silence. "Lily?" Her voice was as gentle as a summer breeze, without haste or pressure. "My name is Sarah. I thought you might like someone to share this with." Silence again. Sarah waited patiently, mentally counting to 30. She was about to accept defeat and leave when she heard a very low noise, someone moving slowly in bed, perhaps sitting up. "May I come in?" she asked with all the delicacy in the world. "I can't," came the muffled but clear reply. Sarah smiled sadly. 3 words that clearly defined the girl's entire existence at that moment. "That's okay, sweetheart. You don't have to be able to do anything. I just thought maybe you'd like some company." More silence. Then, almost like a whisper filled with curiosity, "The door isn't locked." Sarah took a deep breath and turned the knob slowly, pushing the door open with the utmost care. The room was bathed in a cozy dimness, the heavy curtains drawn, blocking almost all daylight. But even in the darkness, Sarah could make out the small, fragile figure on the enormous bed. Lily was sitting up, leaning against the upholstered headboard, her golden blonde hair spread across the pillows like rays of sun. Even in the dark, Sarah immediately noticed that the girl's eyes were a surprising light blue, like crystal-clear water. "Hi," Sarah said in the softest voice she could manage, entering slowly as if approaching a wounded animal. Lily didn't respond immediately, but she didn't tell her to leave either. Her large eyes followed Sarah's every move with cautious curiosity. "I brought a snack, strawberry jam. I hope you like it." Sarah placed the tray on a small table near the bed and sat carefully in a blue velvet armchair beside it. "You don't have to eat if you don't want to. I just thought, well, that it would be nice to have company to share it with." The girl watched her with an intensity that surprised Sarah. It was the first time in months that someone had entered her room without immediately starting to talk about exercises or treatments or how she needed to try to be brave. "You're new here," Lily murmured, her voice still hoarse from so much silence. "I am. I started working here last week." Like all the other employees, they always end up leaving. Sarah felt her heart ache at the resignation in the child's voice. "Why do you think they leave?" Lily shrugged with a small, tired movement. "Daddy said they find the house too sad, that they can't stand being in such a sad place." "And you? Do you find the house sad?" The question took Lily completely by surprise. No one, absolutely no one, had ever asked for her opinion on anything since the accident. They always talked about her, never with her. I don't know," she answered with touching honesty. "I think so. But I don't know if it's the house or if it's me." Sarah nodded as if that were the most natural and sensible answer in the world. She picked up one of the sandwiches and took a small bite, without pressuring Lily to do the same, without even looking in her direction expectantly. "May I open the curtain just a little bit?" she asked after a few minutes. "Just to brighten the room a little. It doesn't have to be much." Lily hesitated, then nodded slowly. The soft afternoon light of October entered the room like a gentle revelation, better showing all the details of the space. Sarah saw the expensive toys scattered in the corners like abandoned soldiers, the pink wheelchair leaning against the wall like a ghost of what could be, the beautiful and colorful clothes hanging in the open closet like doll dresses no one wanted to use anymore. Everything seemed untouched for months, like a museum of a suddenly interrupted childhood. "That's much better," Sarah said sincerely, returning to the armchair. They sat in silence for several minutes, but it wasn't the heavy, suffocating silence that had dominated that room for months. It was different, lighter somehow. A silence of companionship, not of loneliness. "You're not going to ask if I want to try to walk?" Lily asked suddenly, her voice filled with genuine surprise. "Do you want to try?" "I can't." "That's okay." Lily frowned, confused. "You're not going to tell me I need to try, that I need to be brave?" "Only if you want to try." "And only if you want to be brave." For the first time in 8 long months, Lily felt something different in her chest. It wasn't joy, she was still very far from that, but it was as if a gigantic weight had been lifted off her, just a little. Can I have a cookie?" she asked quietly, as if asking for permission to breathe. Sarah smiled with the first genuine joy she had felt since entering that house. "Of course you can, sweetheart. I brought the chocolate ones. I thought you might like them." Lily reached out her small hand and carefully took a cookie, as if it were made of crystal. She took a small, hesitant bite, then a larger one. It was the first time in weeks she had eaten because she wanted to, not because someone was begging or insisting or emotionally blackmailing her. "It's very good," she admitted, a shadow of a smile passing over her lips. "I'm glad Rosa, the cook, made them this morning." They shared the snack in a comfortable, healing silence. Sarah didn't ask difficult questions or try to start conversations about the accident or the mother who was no longer there, or all the treatments Lily should be doing. She was just present, offering her company without demanding anything in return. When she finished her second cookie, Lily leaned back on the soft pillows and looked at Sarah with a curiosity she hadn't felt in a long time. Will you come back tomorrow?" "If you want me to." "I do." The 2 words came out with a conviction that surprised Lily herself. Sarah smiled and stood up slowly, carefully collecting the tray. "Then I'll be back." "Same time?" "Same time." At the door, Sarah turned one last time. "Lily, thank you for letting me stay with you." The girl didn't reply with words, but Sarah saw something completely different in her blue eyes. A small spark of life that definitely hadn't been there when she had entered. When Sarah went downstairs carrying the empty tray, she found Margaret waiting in the second-floor hallway, trying to pretend she wasn't curious. "How was she?" the housekeeper asked, trying to sound only politely interested. "She was fine," Sarah replied simply. "I think she just needed company." Someone who didn't expect anything from her. Margaret nodded slowly, but Sarah saw something shining in her eyes too, something that looked a lot like hope. That night, for the first time in 8 months, there wasn't absolute silence on the 3rd floor of the Sterling mansion. There was something different hanging in the air, something subtle but undeniable that vaguely resembled possibility, like a tiny seed planted in soil everyone had considered barren. Sarah returned the next day, as promised, and the day after that, too. And every day that followed, every afternoon at 2:30 sharp, she would climb the stairs carrying something different. Sometimes it was just a simple snack. Other times she brought small objects she had found around the house, a colorful magazine, a children's puzzle forgotten in a closet, flowers she had picked from the garden. In the first week, Lily was still cautious. She answered in monosyllables, watching Sarah with those blue eyes that seemed to study her every move. But she no longer told her to leave, and that was already immense progress. "I brought something today," Sarah said on a rainy Wednesday, entering the room with a mysterious smile. Lily lifted her head from the pillow, curious despite herself. Sarah pulled from behind her back an old porcelain doll she had found in a chest in the attic. "Margaret said this doll was yours when you were little. I thought maybe you'd want to see her again." Lily's eyes widened. It was Clara, her favorite doll from when she was 3. She had completely forgotten about her after the accident. "Clara," she whispered, reaching out her small hands. Sarah handed her the doll carefully. "She has a very pretty dress. Blue like your eyes." Lily held Clara against her chest, and for the first time in months, Sarah saw something resembling tenderness on her face. "I used to comb her hair every day," Lily murmured. Do you want me to bring a small brush tomorrow? I think Clara would love to have her hair combed again. Lily nodded slowly. The next day, Sarah brought not only a doll's brush, but also colourful ribbons and small clips. She sat on the bed next to Lily, and together they began to arrange the doll's blonde hair. You know, Sarah said as she made a small braid, Clara seems very smart. I bet she has many stories to tell. Dolls don't talk, Lily said, but there was a playful tone in her voice. But this one is special. Look closely into her eyes. Lily looked. The doll's blue glass eyes shone in the window light. If you pay attention, Sarah continued in a conspiratorial voice, maybe she'll tell you about all the adventures she had while she was stored in the attic. What kind of adventures? Sarah pretended to listen to something. She's saying that she made friends with the mice in the attic, and that they told her stories about hidden treasures in the mansion. Lily frowned, torn between skepticism and curiosity. Real treasures? Clara says so. Very special treasures, like Rosa's secret cookie recipe. Or the place where your dad hides birthday presents. An almost imperceptible smile crossed Lily's lips. Daddy hides presents behind the books in his office. Ah, so Clara was right, Sarah laughed. She really is very clever. And so, day after day, Sarah wove small conversations. She started with the doll Clara, then invented stories about the other toys in the room. She made different voices for each character, created simple adventures that made Lily forget, for a few minutes, where she was. The teddy bear is saying he wants to see the garden, Sarah said on a sunny afternoon. He can't leave, Lily replied automatically. Why not? Because he can't. Sarah nodded as if she understood perfectly. All right. Then how about I bring the garden to him? The next day, she appeared with a small pot of violets. She placed it on the small table next to the window. Now the teddy bear can see the flowers without leaving the room, she explained. Lily looked at the flowers for a long time. They're pretty. They are, and they smell nice too. Gradually, the room began to transform. Sarah brought more small plants, colourful drawings that she taped to the walls, a small mobile that she hung near the window. The environment that once felt like a hospital started to look like a child's room again. What's that? Lily asked one afternoon, watching Sarah unpack a small box. Crayons. I thought maybe you'd like to draw. I don't know how to draw. Everyone knows how to draw. You just have to make marks on the paper. Sarah held out a large sheet of paper and chose a blue crayon. She made a few simple lines that turned into a sky with clouds. Now you? Lily hesitated, then picked up a yellow crayon. She drew a crooked circle that could be a sun. That's beautiful, Sarah exclaimed sincerely. Now our drawing has a sky and a sun. What else do we need? Grass, Lily suggested shyly. Perfect idea. Together, they created a simple drawing of a landscape. It was full of imperfections and crooked lines, but it was the first drawing Lily had made since the accident. Can I make another one? She asked when they finished. As many as you want. And so the afternoons began to pass more quickly. Sarah invented simple games that Lily could play in bed, guessing games, stories where they each said one sentence at a time, word rhyming games. It was on a Thursday that the moment that changed everything happened. Sarah was telling a silly story about a fish that wanted to learn to fly. She made funny voices and exaggerated gestures. When she got to the part where the fish tried to flap its fins like wings, she made such a ridiculous face that Lily couldn't hold back. She let out a small laugh, almost a whisper. Sarah stopped talking instantly, as if she had heard the most beautiful sound in the world. You laughed, she said, her eyes shining. Lily covered her mouth with her hands, as if she had done something wrong. But there was a different gleam in her eyes. It's okay to laugh, Sarah said gently. In fact, it's great to laugh. It means the story was good. It was kind of silly, Lily admitted. The best stories are always a little silly. From that day on, something definitely changed. Lily began to eagerly await Sarah's arrival. By 2 in the afternoon, she was already sitting up in bed, looking at the door. Will Sarah be long? She would ask Margaret when the housekeeper brought her lunch. She always comes at 2:30, dear. But it's already 2:15, Margaret would smile. It was the first time in months that Lily had shown interest in anything related to time. Sarah noticed the change immediately. Lily was more alert, more present. She asked questions about the stories, suggested ideas for the drawings, and even created voices for the dolls. Clara wants to know if you have more stories about treasures, Lily said one afternoon, holding the doll. I have many, but Clara will have to help me remember. How? She can give me clues. For example, she can blink when I'm getting close to the right answer. Lily looked at the doll, then at Sarah, and began to make Clara blink by moving her head slightly. It was a simple game, but to Sarah, it meant the world. Lily was truly playing, using her imagination, interacting. The girl who 3 weeks earlier barely spoke was now creating games. Sarah brought children's storybooks and read to Lily. She brought simple puzzles that they did together on the bed. She taught her word games that made Lily think and laugh. I'll say a word and you say another that rhymes, Sarah explained. Cat, said Lily. Hat, replied Sarah. Bat, mat. They laughed together, and Sarah felt her heart warm. The room that was once a place of sadness was becoming a place of life again. William Sterling watched everything from a distance. He had noticed the gradual changes. First, it was the sounds. Low voices coming from Lily's room, something that hadn't happened in months. Then it was seeing Sarah go up the stairs every day carrying different things, flowers, books, drawing supplies. One afternoon, he quietly went up to the 3rd floor and stopped near the bedroom door. What he heard left him speechless. Laughter. Quiet. Still hesitant, but definitely laughter coming from his daughter's room. He leaned against the hallway wall, closing his eyes and feeling an emotion he hadn't experienced in a long time. Hope. How did she do it? He murmured to himself. He had hired the best professionals in the world. He had spent fortunes on treatments. He had begged, cried, tried everything. And a simple cleaner had achieved what no specialist could, making his daughter laugh again. Mr. Sterling, Margaret's voice made him open his eyes. The housekeeper was approaching down the hall. I was listening, he admitted. Margaret smiled. Sarah is special. She has a way with the girl. What does she do in there? She plays, sir. Just plays. Tells stories, draws, talks about simple things. Nothing extraordinary, but it's working. It is. Lily is eating better, sleeping better. Yesterday she asked me what time it was 3 times, not because she was impatient, but because she was excited for Sarah to arrive. William felt his eyes well up. How long has it been since she was excited for something good? A long time, sir. They stood in silence, listening to the low voices coming from the room. Sarah was telling a story about a brave butterfly, and Lily was asking questions, giving suggestions, participating. Margaret, William said after a while, I want Sarah to have everything she needs. Anything she asks for to help Lily, I'll see to it, sir. And Margaret, tell her that I'm grateful, more grateful than I can express. That evening, when Sarah said goodbye to Lily, the girl asked a question that surprised her. Sarah, can you stay longer tomorrow? Of course, as long as you want. And can you bring more stories? And more drawings. I can bring as many stories and drawings as you want, Lily smiled, a small but genuine smile. I think Clara likes you too. Sarah looked at the doll in Lily's arms. I'm sure I like her very much too. And you. When she went downstairs that evening, Sarah found Margaret waiting with a tray of tea. Mr. Sterling wants you to know that you can ask for anything you need to help Lily, the housekeeper said. I don't need anything special, Sarah replied. Just time. You'll have time, as much as you need, Sarah smiled. Then I think we'll make it. Upstairs, Lily was lying down holding Clara against her chest, looking at the drawings she had made taped to the wall. For the first time in months, she didn't feel the terrible weight of silence. The room was full of life, of colors, of possibilities. Sarah is coming back tomorrow, she whispered to Clara, and we're going to make more drawings, and maybe she'll tell that story about the dragon who was afraid to fly. and for the first time since the accident, Lily fell asleep smiling. It was on a golden sunny afternoon that Lily finally opened her heart. Sarah was arranging Clara's hair when she noticed the girl was quieter than usual. It wasn't the heavy silence of the first few days. It was different. A silence full of words that wanted to come out but didn't know how. "Sarah." Lily's voice came out softly, almost a whisper. "Yes, sweetheart. Have you ever lost someone you loved very much?" Sarah stopped combing the doll's hair. The question came so suddenly that she needed a moment to process it. She looked at Lily and saw something new in her blue eyes, a deep need to be understood. "Yes, I have," she answered honestly. Lily was silent for a long time, fiddling with the edge of the sheet. "My mom died," she said finally, the words coming out as if she were testing how they sounded. "I know, sweetheart." She was driving when it happened. It was raining really hard. Lily looked out the window as if she could see the rain from that terrible night. "I was in the back seat. The last thing I remember is her saying that everything was going to be okay." Sarah continued to hold Clara, but all her attention was on Lily. She said nothing, just waited. "I wish I had died with her," Lily whispered. The words fell into the room like heavy stones. Sarah felt her heart ache, but she kept her face calm. "It's normal to feel that way," she said gently. "And when we lose someone we love very much, sometimes it feels like dying would be easier than staying here alone." Lily looked at her in surprise. "Is it really normal?" "It is. But you know what else is normal? Discovering that we can keep on living even when it seems impossible." "How do you know?" Sarah took a deep breath. Because I've been through it too." Lily sat up in bed, interested. It was the first time Sarah had talked about herself. "My mom used to comb my hair every night," Lily said suddenly. "She would sing a song. I don't remember all the words, but I remember the melody." "Do you want to hum it for me?" Lily hesitated, then began to hum softly. It was a sweet, simple melody, and Sarah recognized it as an old lullaby. "That's beautiful," Sarah said when Lily finished. "Did your mum have a good voice?" "The best in the world." A small smile appeared on Lily's face. "She sang in the shower too. Daddy always complained that she woke up the whole house. She sounds like she was a special person." "She was." "She made pancakes in the shape of animals, and she always let me lick the batter bowl." Lily paused. "Do you think she's mad at me?" "Mad? Why?" "Because of the accident. If I hadn't asked to go with her to the store, she wouldn't have gone out that night. It was my fault." Sarah put the doll down and moved closer to the bed. "Lily, look at me." The girl lifted her tear-filled blue eyes. "What happened wasn't your fault. Accidents happen, and it's nobody's fault. Your mom loved you and would never be mad at you for something like that." "How are you so sure?" "Because mothers who love their children want to see them happy. Always. Even when they're not here anymore." Lily began to cry softly. It wasn't the desperate crying of the first few months. It was a cry of relief, as if she were letting go of something she had been carrying for a long time. Sarah sat on the edge of the bed and, for the first time, Lily let herself be hugged. They stayed like that for a few minutes, in silence. "She would have liked you," Lily murmured against Sarah's shoulder. "Don't you think so?" "I'm sure she always said that the best people are the ones who make you feel safe." From that day on, everything changed between them. Lily began to talk about her mother naturally, sharing happy memories. Sarah listened to everything with infinite patience, asking gentle questions that helped Lily remember the good times. "So my mum loved this doll," Lily said one afternoon, holding Clara. "She gave her to me when I turned 3. She said every girl needed a special friend. Just like you and me," Sarah said, smiling. "Are we really friends?" "The best of friends." They created special rituals. Every Monday they would arrange all of Lily's dolls, making up names and stories for each one. Tuesdays and Thursdays were for drawing. They started with simple scribbles and were soon creating entire comic book stories. "This is Princess Clara," Lily would explain, showing a colorful drawing. "She lives in a pink castle and has a horse that can fly. And this one, that's the nice dragon who protects the castle. He doesn't breathe fire, he breathes glitter." Sarah would laugh genuinely at Lily's inventions. The girl had an incredible imagination that was finally finding room to flourish. Wednesdays were for stories. Sarah brought new books, but Lily really liked it when they made up stories together. Once upon a time, there was a girl who lived on a cloud, Sarah would begin. And she had hair made of sunbeams, Lily would continue. One day, she decided to come down to see the earth, but she didn't know how to do it without getting hurt. The stories always had happy endings. Lily insisted on it. Sad endings are boring, she declared once. I want everyone to be happy. Sarah noticed that Lily was changing physically too. Her face had regained its color. Her eyes shone with life again. She laughed easily now, not just shy little giggles, but genuine laughter when Sarah made her funny voices. You have to do the pirate voice again, Lily would ask, hiding under the covers, laughing so hard. Arr! Where be me, treasure? Sarah would say in a gravelly voice, and Lily would explode with laughter. The room had been completely transformed. The walls were covered with colorful drawings. There were plants on the windowsills, toys scattered on the bed, books piled on the nightstand. It looked like a happy child's room again. Sarah, Lily said on a Friday as they were saying goodbye, can you come on the weekend too? Do you want me to come? I do. The weekends are too long without you. Sarah felt her heart warm. Of course I can come. How about I bring a new game for us to learn together? Yes, and we can make more drawings. I want to draw you. Me? Yes. To show everyone what my best friend looks like. The next morning, a sunny Saturday, Sarah arrived early. She found Lily already awake, sitting up in bed with a huge smile on her face. You came, she exclaimed, as if it were a surprise, even though they had arranged it. Of course I came. Friends don't miss their appointments. Lily jumped, literally jumped on the bed with joy. It was such a spontaneous and natural movement that they were both surprised for a second. I jumped, Lily said, somewhat astonished. You sure did, and it was beautiful. It didn't hurt. That's good. Lily smiled, a full, radiant smile that lit up the whole room. I think I'm getting better. You were always good, sweetheart. You just needed to remember it. They spent the whole day together. They drew, played with dolls, made up crazy stories. Sarah brought a memory game, and they played several rounds, laughing when they made mistakes. You're really bad at this, Lily teased when Sarah got it wrong for the 5th time. Hey, you're the one with an elephant's memory. Do elephants really have good memories? Great memories, just like you. As the sun began to set, Lily did something that surprised them both. She took Sarah's hand and said, Thank you. For what? For being my friend, for not giving up on me, for helping me remember how to smile. Sarah felt her eyes well up. Thank you for letting me be your friend. Forever, forever. At that moment, watching Lily's illuminated face, Sarah knew that something special had been born between them. It was no longer a relationship of employee and employer, nor of an adult trying to help a child. It was a true friendship, the kind that changes people's lives. And for the first time since she had arrived at that mansion, Sarah felt that maybe she was being healed too. Sarah noticed in the small details that Lily was different. It was an accumulation of subtle things that only someone who spent hours observing the girl could perceive. The way she moved in bed had changed. Before it was as if she carried an invisible weight. Now her movements were lighter, more natural. When she laughed at the funny stories, her whole body participated, not just her face. And the week before, Sarah had caught Lily wiggling her toes under the sheet, an unconscious movement that the girl herself didn't seem to have noticed. Lily, Sarah said on a Tuesday morning, interrupting the drawing they were doing together. Can I ask you a question? Of course. Lily didn't even look up from the paper, focused on coloring the petals of a flower. How do you feel? I mean, physically. Your muscles, your legs. Lily stopped coloring and looked at Sarah with curiosity. Why? Just curious. Have you been feeling anything different lately? The girl thought for a moment. Sometimes I feel strange tingles, and yesterday, when you told that joke about the cat who wanted to be a dog, I felt like, I don't know, like moving more. Sarah nodded, her heart racing with hope. And what did you do when you felt that? Nothing. I remembered that I can't, and the feeling went away. Lily, Sarah said gently, putting the crayon aside. What if I told you that maybe you can do more than you think? Lily's expression changed immediately. The joy vanished, replaced by fear. No. Sarah, please. Don't you start with that too. I'm not going to force you to do anything. I just want you to know that I believe in you. Everyone says that, and then they get frustrated when I can't do it. I won't get frustrated. Ever. Lily looked at her for a long moment, searching for signs of a lie in Sarah's eyes. She found none. What do you want me to do? She asked in a small voice. Nothing today. Just think about what I said, okay? Over the next few days, Sarah didn't bring up the subject again. They continued with their normal activities, drawing, playing with dolls, making up stories. But Sarah could tell that Lily was thinking. The girl was quieter at times, as if fighting an internal battle. It was on a Thursday that Lily brought the subject back up. Sarah, she said hesitantly, do you really think I can try? I think you can try anything you want to try. But what if I can't do it? What if it hurts too much? Then we'll stop right away. No pressure, no expectations. Lily was silent for a long time, holding Clara against her chest. Would you stay with me? If I tried, every second. And you wouldn't let go of my hand? Never. Lily took a deep breath. Maybe tomorrow. Tomorrow is perfect. That night, Lily could hardly sleep. She lay awake, staring at the ceiling, imagining what it would be like to stand up again. She tried to remember the feeling of having her feet on the ground, of feeling her own weight supported by her legs. It seemed so distant, it could have happened in another life. On Friday morning, Sarah arrived earlier than usual. She found Lily awake, sitting in bed with the look of someone who had been up all night. Changed your mind? Sarah asked softly. No. I'm just scared. It's normal to be scared. Courage isn't not being afraid, it's doing something even when you are. Sarah approached the bed and held out her hand. How about we start slow? Just sitting on the edge of the bed first. Lily looked at the outstretched hand as if it were a lifeline. After a moment of hesitation, she took it. I'll help you move, Sarah said, very slowly. With infinite care, Sarah helped Lily sit on the edge of the bed. The girl's legs dangled, her feet not touching the floor. How do you feel? Sarah asked. Strange. It's been a long time since I've sat like this. Do you want to try touching your feet to the floor? Lily nodded, squeezing Sarah's hand tightly. Slowly, she let her feet rest on the soft rug. I feel the floor, she whispered, amazed. And what's it like? Soft, warm. Lily wiggled her toes on the rug. I had forgotten what it felt like. They stayed like that for a few minutes, Lily getting used to the sensation of having her feet on the ground again. Lily, Sarah said finally, how about we try to stand up for just a little bit? I'll be with you. Lily's face paled instantly. I can't. Don't be afraid. I'm with you. What if I fall? I'll catch you. What if it doesn't work? What if my legs can't hold me? Then we'll try another day. There's no rush. Lily started to cry, tears of fear streaming down her face. Sarah, I'm so scared. I know, sweetheart, but being scared doesn't mean you can't. It means you're brave for trying even though you're scared. Sarah stood in front of Lily, holding both her hands firmly. Look at me, only at me. Lily lifted her tear-filled blue eyes. I believe in you. More than you believe in yourself right now. You are stronger than you think. How do you know? Because I see you every day. I see how you move, how you laugh, how your joy has returned. Your body is ready, Lily. It's your heart that's still afraid. Lily sobbed. I want to try, but I'm so scared. It's okay to be scared. Let's try together, okay? Very slowly, Sarah stood up, keeping Lily's hands firmly in hers. When you're ready, just stand up. Slowly. I'm here. Lily took several deep breaths. Her hands trembled in Sarah's. Now, she whispered. Only when you want to." Lily closed her eyes, gathering all the courage she could find. Then, very slowly, she began to rise. Her legs shook violently. For a moment, it seemed like she was going to give up and fall back onto the bed. But Sarah held on tight. "You're doing it," Sarah murmured. "Keep going." With a tremendous effort, Lily stood up completely. She was on her feet, supported by Sarah's hands, her legs trembling like leaves in the wind. "I'm standing," she whispered, in disbelief. "Yes, you are." "You're standing." Lily opened her eyes and looked down, seeing her own feet supporting her weight. She started to cry again, but now they were tears of joy mixed with fear. "I can't believe it. I'm standing." "You are, and you're safe. I won't let you fall." They stood like that for a few minutes, Lily getting used to the feeling of being upright again. Her legs still trembled, but they were holding her weight. "Sarah," Lily said suddenly, I think I can take a step." "Are you sure?" "I want to try." Sarah repositioned her hands to give more support, very slowly, 1 foot at a time. Lily lifted her right foot with tremendous effort. For a second, all her weight was on her left leg. She hesitated, fear taking over. "You can do it," Sarah encouraged. "Just one small step." With tears streaming down her face, Lily placed her right foot forward. It was a small, shaky step, but it was a step. "I took a step," she sobbed. "Sarah, I took a step." "Yes, you did. Do you want to try another one?" 4-MgO2 and 3-MgO2 catalysts, which were calcined at 400 degrees C, had the best catalytic performance with a conversion of 92% and a selectivity of 80% to MEA, DEA, and T. The reaction conditions were optimized as follows: reaction temperature of 180 degrees C, reaction time of 6He, NEG, NNH3, molar ratio of 1.1, and catalyst dosage of 0.4. Lily nodded, determination shining in her wet eyes. With even more care, she lifted her left foot and took another small step. 2 steps, only 2. But for Lily, it was like a full marathon. "I can't believe I did it," she cried and laughed at the same time. "I can't believe it." It was at that moment that the door opened. William Sterling walked into the room carrying some documents, as he occasionally did to work near his daughter, but when he saw the scene before him, the papers slipped from his hands and scattered across the floor. Lily was standing, supported by Sarah, her face wet with tears of joy. "Daddy!" Lily exclaimed, turning her head towards him. "I did it!" "I took 2 steps." William was frozen at the door. For 8 months, he had dreamed of this moment. He had hired the best doctors in the world, hoping to see it. And now it was happening, right in front of him, at the hands of a cleaner who had become his daughter's best friend. Tears began to stream down his face, beyond his control. "Lily," he said with a choked voice, You're walking." "It was only 2 steps, Lily said, still leaning on Sarah. But Sarah said 2 steps are the beginning of a walk. William approached slowly, as if afraid of breaking the magical moment. Can I hug you?" Lily nodded. William knelt in front of her, and Lily let go of one of Sarah's hands to hug her father. "I knew you could do it," he whispered, his voice broken with emotion. "I always knew." "No, Daddy. You didn't know. I didn't even know. But Sarah knew." Lily looked at Sarah with infinite gratitude. Sarah always knew. William looked at Sarah over his daughter's head. His eyes were red with tears, but they shone with a gratitude that words could not express. "Thank you," he mouthed silently. Sarah just nodded, her own eyes misty. "Daddy," Lily said, pulling back slightly from the hug, "do you want to see me take 2 more steps?" "More than anything in the world." Sarah repositioned Lily's hands. "Ready? Ready?" And there, in front of her emotional father, Lily took 2 more small, shaky steps. 4 steps in total. For any other child, it would be insignificant. For Lily, it was like moving mountains. When she finally sat back down on the bed, exhausted but radiant, The room was filled with a completely new energy. It was no longer a place of sadness and resignation. It was a place where small and immense miracles happened every day. "Sarah," Lily said, holding her friend's hand, "thank you for believing in me when I didn't. Thank you for letting me be here when you decided to fly." William watched them both, realizing for the first time that something very special had been born in that room. It wasn't just a physical recovery, it was a much deeper healing, one that involved love, friendship, and the courage to try again. For the first time in 8 months, William Sterling felt real hope that his daughter would not only walk again, but live life to the fullest again. And it was all thanks to a simple woman who had arrived at his house carrying only a small bag and an enormous heart. William couldn't concentrate on work for the rest of the day. After seeing Lily take those first steps, he had stayed in the room for another hour, watching his daughter and Sarah talk and laugh as if nothing extraordinary had happened. For them, maybe it really was just another day of friendship, but for him, the world had completely changed. Now, sitting in his ground floor office, William replayed the scene over and over, the tears of joy on Lily's face, Sarah's gentle firmness holding the small hands, the magical moment his daughter had started to believe in herself again. How had a simple employee achieved what renowned specialists could not? What did Sarah have that the others didn't? When the clock struck 6 in the evening, William heard Sarah's familiar footsteps coming down the stairs. She always finished her work at this time, always said a polite goodbye before leaving. Today, he wasn't going to let her leave without answers. "Sarah," he called, stepping out of his office. She stopped at the entrance, surprised. "Yes, Mr. Sterling?" Could you talk with me for a few minutes? In my office?" Sarah hesitated. In the 2 months she had worked there, they had exchanged few words beyond polite greetings. She knew he was grateful for what she was doing for Lily, but they had never really talked. "Of course," she replied, following him into the dark wood-paneled office. William closed the door and gestured for her to sit in one of the leather armchairs. He sat in the opposite armchair himself, not behind the imposing desk as he would in a business meeting. He wanted this conversation to be personal. "First, I need to thank you," he began, his voice still thick with emotion. "What I saw today, what you did for my daughter. Mr. Sterling, please, let me finish." William ran a hand through his graying hair. "I hired the best doctors in the world. I spent fortunes on treatments. I brought in award-winning psychologists, renowned physical therapists. They all assured me they had the solution to help Lily." Sarah remained silent, her hands folded in her lap. "But none of them achieved what you achieved in 2 months." William looked her in the eyes. "How did you do what no doctor could?" The question hung in the air for a long moment. Sarah lowered her eyes, as if deciding how much of the truth she could share. "Mr. Sterling," she said finally, her voice low, "may I ask a question first?" "Of course." "Why do you think the doctors couldn't help Lily?" William frowned. "Because she refused to cooperate. She always said she couldn't. She wouldn't try the exercises, wouldn't follow the instructions. And why do you think she refused? Because she was traumatized, depressed. She had lost hope." Sarah nodded slowly. "Exactly. Lily didn't need more techniques or exercises. She needed to believe again that it was worth trying." "But how did you know that? How did you get her to believe?" Sarah took a deep breath, as if preparing to open a door she had kept closed for a long time. "I lost my son in an accident," she said, the words coming out low but clear. William felt as if he had been punched in the gut. "Sarah, I didn't know. Few people do. It happened 3 years ago." Sarah looked out the window, as if she could see the past through the glass. Daniel was 8 years old. He was a cheerful, vibrant child. He loved soccer, video games, chocolate. William said nothing, sensing that she needed to tell the story at her own pace. "It was a car accident, like Lily's. I was driving. It was a Saturday morning. We were on our way to his soccer practice." Sarah's voice trembled slightly. "A truck ran a red light. Daniel died instantly. My God, Sarah. I survived without a scratch, physically at least. Sarah finally looked at William again, but inside I died with him that day. William's heart ached. The pain in Sarah's voice was palpable. For months, I repeated the same words Lily repeats. I can't. I couldn't get out of bed, couldn't eat, couldn't see the point in going on. For a long time, I wished I had died instead of him. How did you get through it? It was my sister who held my hand every day until I believed in myself again. Sarah smiled sadly. Jessica never gave up on me. No matter how many times I said I couldn't, how many times I told her to leave, she came back the next day and the next and the next. William began to understand, just like you did with Lily. When I heard Lily repeating, I can't, with the same hopelessness I had felt, I recognized that pain immediately. It was like looking in a mirror to the past. Sarah paused. I decided to be for her what my sister was for me. Presence, patience, unconditional love. Exactly. Lily didn't need more pressure to get better. She needed to know that someone believed in her, even when she didn't believe in herself. William was silent for several minutes, processing everything he had heard. Finally, it all made sense. The way Sarah intuitively understood what Lily needed. The infinite patience, the ability to be present without judging or pressuring. Sarah, he said at last, you saved my daughter. Lily saved herself. I just held her hand while she found the courage. No, William shook his head. You did much more than that. You showed her and me that there's a kind of healing that money can't buy. Sarah remained silent. All the specialists I brought in saw Lily as a problem to be solved. You saw her as a person to be loved. She's a special girl, Mr. Sterling. Smart, sensitive, brave. She just needed to remember it. William felt his eyes well up again. I lost your son, but somehow you gave me back my daughter. It's not quite like that, Sarah said gently. When I helped Lily believe in herself again, she helped me too. She reminded me that I can still make a difference in someone's life. That the pain of losing Daniel doesn't have to be useless if I can use that experience to help others. Will you keep working here? Please, say yes. Sarah smiled. The first genuine smile William had seen on her face. As long as Lily needs me, I'll be here. And when she doesn't need you anymore, then I will have fulfilled my purpose. And I will be at peace knowing she is strong and happy. William stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the garden where Lily used to play before the accident. Sarah, may I ask you one more question? Of course. Do you think Lily will be completely okay? That she'll go back to running and playing like before? Sarah joined him at the window. Physically, yes. The doctors were right about that. But more importantly, she's already okay in what really matters. What do you mean? She believes in herself again. She has hope again. She's smiling for real again. Sarah looked at William. Those are the most important healings of all. William nodded, understanding perfectly. For months, he had focused only on Lily's physical recovery, forgetting that emotional healing was just as important. Sarah, how can I ever thank you properly? Continue to be present in her life. Lily needs her father, not just the man who pays the doctors. Sarah's words were direct but not cruel. William knew she was right. You're right. I got so lost in trying to find the solution that I forgot to simply be with her. It's never too late to change that. William looked at Sarah with deep respect. She had lost everything, her son, her reason for living, but had found the strength to lift up another child who was down. She had turned her own tragedy into hope for another family. Sarah, you are an extraordinary person. I'm not Mr. Sterling. I'm just a mother who understands what it's like not to be able to protect her child, and who decided to use that pain to protect another. At that moment, William understood that he had hired Sarah as a cleaner, but she had become so much more. She was the person who had brought life back to his family. And no matter how much money he had, he could never repay such a great debt. Thank you, he said simply, for everything. Sarah nodded and headed for the door. I have to go now, but I'll be here tomorrow, as always. Sarah, she turned. Lily is very lucky to have you as a friend. I'm the lucky one to have her. And with that, Sarah left, leaving William alone in his office, finally understanding that miracles don't always come in the form we expect, but always in the form we need. William stayed in his office late that night, Sarah's words echoing in his mind like a persistent refrain. To continue to be present in her life, Lily needs her father, not just the man who pays the doctors. The truth of those words hurt more than he wanted to admit. For the 8 months since the accident, he had convinced himself that he was doing everything for the best reasons. He worked long hours to pay for the best treatments. He tirelessly researched new specialists. He had turned the search for Lily's cure into his life's mission. But somewhere along the way, he had forgotten to simply be a father. When Emma was alive, she always reminded him of this. "Children don't need a perfect provider," she used to say. "They need a present father." At the time, William thought he was being present. After all, he came home every night, participated in family dinners, took Lily for outings on weekends. But after the accident, everything changed. The pain of losing Emma mixed with the despair of seeing Lily devastated, and William had taken refuge in the only thing he knew how to do well: solve problems with money and determination. If there was a better specialist somewhere in the world, he would bring them. If there was an experimental treatment, he would fund it. If there was a solution, he would find it. What he hadn't realized was that, in the process, he had emotionally distanced himself from his own daughter. When Sarah arrived and achieved in weeks what he hadn't in months, William first felt gratitude, then confusion. And now, after their revealing conversation, he felt something he hadn't experienced in a long time: clarity. Lily didn't need more doctors. She needed her father. The next morning, William cancelled all his meetings for the day. It was Saturday, but he usually worked anyway, locked in his office with piles of reports and international calls. Today would be different. He went up the stairs slowly, his heart pounding. It had been weeks since he had entered Lily's room without a specific reason: to bring a doctor, fetch a document, check if she was okay. Always in a hurry, always with an excuse not to stay long. He stopped at the door, listening to the voices inside. Sarah hadn't arrived yet. It was only 8 in the morning, so Lily must have been playing alone. Or maybe talking to her dolls, as she used to do before the accident. He knocked on the door softly. "Come in," came Lily's voice, sounding more cheerful than he remembered hearing in months. William opened the door and was surprised by what he saw. The room was transformed, not just by the colorful drawings on the walls or the plants on the windowsills. It was the energy of the space that had completely changed. Where there was once heavy sadness, there was now life. Lily was sitting on the bed, combing Clara's hair. When she saw her father, she smiled, a real smile, not the polite, distant one she had offered him in recent months. "Hi, Daddy. You're home early today." "I am." William approached hesitantly. Can I sit here with you?" Lily blinked, surprised. It had been a long time since he had asked a question instead of just stating what he was doing. "Of course." She patted the bed beside her. "Clara was just saying she wanted to get to know you better." William sat carefully on the edge of the bed. Oh, was she? And what else was Clara saying? That you look sad, else. And that maybe you needed a hug. The simplicity of Lily's observation hit him like a lightning bolt. Through a doll, his 6-year-old daughter had identified something he himself had taken months to recognize. "Clara is very observant," William said, his voice slightly hoarse. "She is. Sarah says that dolls can see things that people sometimes hide." William looked at his daughter, really looked, for the first time in a long time. He saw that she had gained weight, that her cheeks were rosy again. He saw that her blue eyes sparkled with life. He saw that she seemed happy. "Lily," he said suddenly, "I need to apologize to you." "Why?" "For not being truly present. I know I brought a lot of doctors, that I tried everything to help you, but I forgot the most important thing." Lily tilted her head, curious. "What thing?" "To just be here, with you. Being your dad, not just someone trying to fix you." The words came out more easily than he expected, as if they had been stuck for months waiting to be said. "Lily, I'm going to be with you, not just from a distance, but here, every day." Tears began to form in William's eyes, tears he had held back for so long that he had forgotten what it was like to truly cry. "I missed you," he whispered. "I missed talking to you, playing with you, just being with you." Lily put Clara down and looked at her father with wide eyes. It was the first time she had seen him cry since her mother's funeral. It was also the first time she had heard him talk about feelings instead of treatments. "Daddy," she said softly, "I missed you too. Even though I was here all the time. You were here, but you weren't really here." Lily touched her small chest. "In here, I felt like you had gone away too." His daughter's words broke William's heart. She had lost her mother in the accident, and then she had lost her father too, not physically but emotionally. Her 6-year-old girl had carried 2 losses at the same time. "I'm so sorry," and he said, the tears now flowing freely. "I'm so very sorry, my love. I didn't mean to leave you alone. I didn't know how to handle everything, how to take care of you when I was broken myself." Lily moved closer to him on the bed. "It's okay, Daddy. Sarah taught me that sometimes people need time to learn how to heal. Sarah is very wise. She is, and she said something I didn't understand before, but I do now." "What was that?" "She said that love isn't about trying to fix the person you love. Love is staying by their side while they fix themselves." William felt as if he had been punched in the chest. His 6-year-old daughter had just summed up in one sentence what had taken him months to comprehend. "You really understand that?" "I do. Sarah never tried to fix me. She just stayed by my side until I remembered how to fix myself." William extended his arms hesitantly. "Can I give you a hug, a real hug?" Lily didn't hesitate. She threw herself into her father's arms with a force that surprised him. It was a desperate hug, filled with months of longing and need. "I love you, Daddy," she whispered against his chest. "Even when you were far away, I never stopped loving you." "I love you too, my love, more than you can ever imagine." They held each other for a long time. William felt as if he were holding his daughter for the first time since the accident, not as a problem to be solved, but as the precious child she had always been. "Daddy," Lily said, pulling back a little to look him in the eyes, "are you really going to stay here with me every day?" "I am. I'm not going to hide at work anymore. I'm going to be here to play, to talk, to listen to your stories. And when Sarah comes, can you play with us too? If she'll let me. She'll let you." "Sarah likes everyone," William smiled, the first genuine smile he had felt on his lips in months. "How about we start now? What would you like to do with me?" Lily thought for a moment. "Can you teach me how to make those paper airplanes you used to make when I was little?" "Of course I can. And after that, can we make up a story together? A story about a girl and her dad who learned to fly again." "Together?" "Together." William stood up and went to get some paper. For the first time in 8 months, he was going to spend the entire day playing with his daughter. No doctors, no urgent phone calls, no constant pressure to find the next miracle solution. Just him and Lily, reconnecting the threads of a relationship that had been temporarily lost, but never truly broken. When Sarah arrived later, she would find not only Lily recovering, but an entire family learning to heal together. And perhaps she would realize that her mission there was almost complete, not because Lily no longer needed her, but because Lily finally had back everything a child truly needs, the unconditional love of her father. 3 days after the revealing conversation between William and Lily, a new energy hung over the Sterling mansion. It was as if the heavy marble walls had become lighter, as if the air, thick with sadness, had finally found a way out. Even the staff commented among themselves that the house felt different, more alive. "Daddy," Lily said on a sunny Tuesday morning, "I think I'm ready." William was sitting on her bed, helping her assemble a new puzzle they had bought together the day before. It was a picture of a field of flowers with colorful butterflies, very different from the educational and therapeutic puzzles he used to choose before. "They're ready for what, my love?" "To do real physical therapy." William stopped looking for pieces and looked at his daughter. There was a determination in her blue eyes that he hadn't seen in a long time. "Are you sure? You don't have to push yourself if you don't feel ready." "I'm sure I want to walk properly again." I want to run in the garden again, go up and down the stairs, maybe even ride a bike like before. You don't have to pressure yourself. We can wait a little longer. Lily shook her head with a determination that surprised William. I don't want to wait anymore. But, she hesitated, biting her lower lip. There are a few conditions. What are they? Sarah has to be there, and you too. I'm not doing this alone. William smiled, feeling his heart warm. I think we can arrange that perfectly. The next day, Dr. Martinez, a kind physical therapist recommended by Sarah herself, arrived at the mansion carrying light equipment and a warm smile. He was noticeably different from the previous specialists, younger, more relaxed, with an energy that was more like a gym teacher than a formal doctor in a white coat. So you're the famous Lily, he said, entering the room with light steps. Sarah has told me a lot about you. Lily hid behind Sarah, still naturally shy with new people. You know Sarah? I do. We worked together at a children's clinic a few years ago. She told me you're a very brave and determined girl. Sometimes, Lily admitted honestly, sometimes is more than enough. Courage isn't not being afraid. It's doing something important even when you're scared. It was exactly what Sarah always said, and Lily visibly relaxed. What are we going to do today? She asked with cautious curiosity. We're going to play, Dr. Martinez replied simply, opening his colorful bag. And while we play, your muscles will get stronger without you even noticing. The first session was intentionally gentle. Dr. Martinez taught Lily simple exercises she could do comfortably in bed, turning each movement into a fun game. Flexing her toes became waving to the invisible friends in the garden. Bending her knees became climbing imaginary mountains to find hidden treasures. Sarah participated enthusiastically in everything, inventing elaborate stories to accompany each exercise. Let's pretend we're brave climbers scaling a snowy mountain to save a lost kitten meowing at the top. William watched from a nearby armchair, completely amazed at how his daughter responded positively when the exercises were presented as fun instead of a medical obligation. It hurts a little here, Lily admitted after a few movements, touching her right thigh. A little soreness is completely normal, Dr. Martinez explained gently. Your muscles are remembering how to work after a long rest. It's like when you don't ride a bike for a long time. At first, it feels strange and difficult. I remember riding a bike, Lily said with clear nostalgia. Mommy taught me in the park. She would run beside me, holding the seat. How about we go bike riding again one day? Sarah suggested affectionately. When your legs are completely ready for new adventures. Lily's eyes shone with genuine hope. Do you really think I'll be able to do all that again? I'm absolutely sure you will. The sessions continued religiously 3 times a week. Dr. Martinez was incredibly patient and surprisingly creative, always inventing new and interesting ways to make the exercises engaging. Sarah was present for every single one, and William cancelled his important meetings to participate as well, something his employees noted with surprise. Today we're going to try standing for longer, Dr. Martinez announced on a rainy Thursday. How about we imagine we're brave sentinels guarding a magic castle against evil dragons? Lily was visibly stronger now. Her legs had gained muscle, her posture was straighter, and she could stand for several minutes at a time without trembling so much. But when Dr. Martinez carefully suggested she try taking a few steps without any support, she hesitated visibly. What if I fall? What if my legs can't hold me? I'll catch you, Sarah said immediately, holding out her hands. And I'm here too, William added, strategically positioning himself on the other side. And I'm right here for any emergency, Dr. Martinez completed with confidence. Lily looked carefully around, seeing the 3 people she loved most in the world ready to support her unconditionally. She took a deep breath, as Sarah had taught her to do when she felt scared, and let go of Sarah's hands. She stood completely on her own for 5 whole seconds before Sarah preemptively took her hands again. 5 full seconds, exclaimed William, barely able to contain his emotion. You stood on your own for 5 whole seconds. Was that a long time? Lily asked, breathless but smiling from ear to ear. It was a whole eternity, Sarah replied, her eyes shining with maternal pride. Week after week, Lily progressed steadily but naturally. Some days were definitely better than others. Sometimes she felt more pain and cried in frustration, wanting to give up. Other times, the fatigue was so intense that she wanted to go back to bed and forget the exercises. "I can't do any more today," she said on a particularly difficult afternoon, tears of exhaustion streaming down her face. "It hurts too much and I'm too tired." "Do you want to stop for today?" Dr. Martinez asked without pressure. "There's no problem with that at all." Lily turned to Sarah with pleading eyes. "What do you think I should do?" "I think you've already done a lot today. Your body needs to rest. But I want to try just a little more." "Just a few more little steps." Sarah smiled with infinite tenderness. "Then let's try a little more, but slowly." This growing determination in Lily positively surprised everyone. She had found an inner strength that no one, not even herself, knew she had. When she felt pain, she would ask to stop for a few minutes, take a deep breath, but always came back to try with renewed determination. When she felt fear, she would hold tightly to Sarah's or William's hand, but she never again spoke of giving up completely. "Where do you think all this strength comes from?" William asked Sarah one afternoon, after Lily had managed to walk an impressive 10 consecutive steps. "It comes from love," Sarah replied simply, watching Lily play with Clara. "Find when a child feels truly loved and supported, she can move entire mountains." It was on a rainy Tuesday in early November that the miracle everyone had hoped for, but that still took them by surprise, happened. Lily was in the spacious living room. Dr. Martinez had suggested she leave her room for the more advanced sessions, to create new visual stimuli and spatial challenges. Sarah was sitting in an elegant armchair a few feet away, and William was strategically positioned on the other side of the room. "Lily," said Dr. Martinez with an encouraging smile, "how about you try walking to Sarah without any support?" It was the longest distance she had attempted so far, at least 15 full steps across the room. "Sigh, that's very far," she said, eyeing the distance with doubtful eyes. "What if I can't make it there?" "You can do it," Sarah encouraged with absolute conviction. "I'll be here waiting for you, no matter how long it takes." Lily took several deep breaths, as she had learned to do, and took the first hesitant step, then the second, with a little more confidence. Her legs trembled slightly, but they held her weight with growing firmness. Third step, fourth. On the fifth step, she wobbled a bit alarmingly, but managed to balance herself without help. William held his breath, his fists clenched with tension. Sixth, seventh, eighth. "I'm doing it!" Lily exclaimed, her voice a mix of pure joy and intense concentration. Ninth, 10th, 11th. Exactly halfway. She paused for a second, gathering her strength and courage. She looked directly at Sarah, who had shining tears in her eyes and a radiant smile on her face. "Keep going, my love," Sarah whispered with emotion. "You're almost here with me." 12th, 13th, 14th. On the 15th step, Lily finally reached Sarah and threw herself into her arms, breathless but absolutely radiant with happiness. "I did it!" she shouted with explosive joy. "I walked to you all by myself." "Yes, you did, my darling." Sarah hugged her tight, tears of joy streaming freely down her face. William quickly approached, and the two turned to him, still embracing and emotional. "Daddy, did you see everything?" "I walked to Sarah with no help at all." "I did, my love. It was the most beautiful and moving thing I've ever seen in my entire life." Dr. Martinez was smiling proudly too, already packing his equipment into his colorful bag. "I don't think we'll be needing any more regular sessions. Lily is officially healed and recovered." "Really healed?" Lily asked, hardly believing it. "Your legs are strong and working perfectly well. You can run, jump, ride a bike, climb trees, absolutely everything a girl your age normally does." Lily looked around at the three people who had made that miraculous moment possible. Then her blue eyes fixed on Sarah with a deep, emotional intensity. "I only did it because of you. You're my best friend in the whole world." Sarah felt her heart completely overflow with emotion. "And you are a gift I never imagined I would receive in my life." William spontaneously joined the hug, wrapping Sarah and Lily in his protective arms. "Thank you," he whispered to Sarah, his voice choked. "For giving us back our life, our hope, our happiness." The three of them stood hugging in the elegant living room, where months earlier only heavy silence and suffocating sadness had echoed. Now there was crystal-clear laughter, tears of joy, and the most beautiful sound in the world, the firm, confident steps of a girl who had learned to walk again, not just physically, but towards complete happiness. Margaret, who was watching discreetly and emotionally from the doorway, wiped her own eyes with her embroidered apron. The Sterling mansion, which for so long had echoed only the hurried steps of doctors and the worried whispers of staff, was finally truly full of what it should have always had: unconditional love, spontaneous laughter, and the warm embrace of a genuinely united family. When the light rain stopped completely and the golden sun appeared majestically between the clouds, Lily made a special request. "Can I go to the garden now? I want to run on the green grass and feel the wind on my face." And for the first time in almost a whole year, the Sterling family went out together to the sprawling garden. Lily ran freely among the colorful flowers, her golden blonde hair flying gracefully in the wind, her melodious laughter echoing through the areas that had for so long remained in melancholic silence. Sarah watched from a distance, smiling with deep satisfaction. She knew instinctively that her special mission there was almost naturally complete. Lily had not only started walking again, she had completely returned to living with joy. And in the extraordinary process, she had taught everyone around her that the truest and most lasting miracles don't come from expensive treatments or sophisticated equipment. They come from unconditional love, infinite patience, and the unwavering belief that every person, especially a child, deserves a real second chance to be fully happy. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next ones.